So far away, Lucas, did you know that Tobey Maguire's full name is Tobias Maguire? I learned that and I can't stop thinking about it. Tobias Maguire.
Oh, Toby.
That's it, Toby. That man could play Spider-Man. Tobias Maguire, yeah, that's the who rode Seabiscuit. The first Spider-Man movie is rad, which is pretty much the only descriptor you can use for a movie in which a man dressed like an armor-plated goblin terrorizes an entire city with skeleton bombs. I'm never going to stop being scared of them things, Lucas. They turn you into they turn people into skeletons. Arguably one of the best shots in the entirety of that movie is one in which Tobey Maguire Spider-Man catches an entire tray of food as it's falling from the sky like a boss. A scene Sony executive inexplicably wanted to cut despite the fact Tobey Maguire pulled that shit off for real on the day of shooting. And Lucas, I don't think I need to describe this scene to you, but for the folks at home who maybe aren't familiar with it or don't remember it, would you like to remind them of what happens?
Yeah, so a food tray in like the high school gets flung up into the air, and then Tobey Maguire catches Mary Jane, catches the food tray, and then catches and balances every item of food back on the food tray in real time.
Yeah, and there's an important piece of information you left out there, Lucas, and that is that Mary Jane, played by Kirsten Dunst, eats shit. Like, she eats so much shit in that moment. Like, that slip she does in that scene, if Spider-Man was not there, would have been like career ending. I want to say Mary Jane, in the space of about 1/4 of a second, is like 3/4 of the way around a backflip by the time Peter Parker catches her. Because she goes so fast.
Wow.
Luckily for Mary Jane Watson's spine, Spider-Man is there, as Lucas said, to save the day, using his amazing spider powers. And I'd argue that that scene is very important to the movie as a whole, because it establishes one of Spider-Man's most famous and most difficult to explain powers, which is spider sense. And spider sense now is pretty well understood, and that's because there's been like 3 Spider-Man movies that explain it.
Well, I mean, they haven't explained it because they haven't even called it Spider Sense. It's just the Peter Tingle.
Yeah, they call it the Peter Tingle in the MCU, but they do refer to it as Spider Sense in the original movie, although Peter Parker himself never says that. It's the lady who gives the description of the spider that bites him.
Some researchers believe it almost borders on precognition, an early awareness of danger, a spider sense.
The next scene as well after this also does a pretty good job of establishing it as like, he just sees the punch in slow motion, like, wait, what the fuck's going on?
And for anyone unfamiliar, as audiences were back then, with Spider Sense, it is effectively an I win button for Spider-Man in near enough every situation in which he finds himself, because it gives him a full 360 awareness of his environment, and it effectively allows him to perceive danger before it happens. And I think we've done a Wiki Weekend on Spider-Man and a Fact Fiend video about how broken Spider Sense is, haven't we?
Yeah, I remember I did a video, I think I called it like Spider Sense was absurdly broken or something along those lines.
As you mentioned, that scene immediately following the lunch tray scene is really good at demonstrating how powerful Spider Sense is, because along with being a cool shot, one of the details that I noticed on a second rewatch is, do you know when they have the spitball and they zoom in on that and show that in slow motion?
Yeah.
Like, when I was younger, I thought, oh, that's just a cool slow-mo shot. It's like, no, because the spider sense is so strong, it perceives that as a potential threat. And when the camera zooms in on it, that's Peter Parker's spider sense warning him about that as well. Because I think my favourite moment in that fight scene is when Spider-Man just does like the full Hermes Conrad, like limbo champion move. And like Flash is like, wait, what? Yeah, and like that's a move that comes back in Spider-Man 2, like when Spider-Man's on the train fighting Doc Ock, and he goes under the tunnel and he just does it again. And I think we have to mention the MCU Spider-Sense moment, just because that demonstrates how broken OP it is, where he's being fired at from every conceivable direction by machine guns with wings.
Yeah.
And he's blind because he willingly shuts his own eyes.
Come on, Peter Tingle.
Bringing it back to the lunch tray scene, contrary to what you might expect, folks at home, that was accomplished without the use of CGI or camera trickery. And Tobey Maguire really did that in real life. The only thing they did was they did put glue on Tobey Maguire's hand. And for anyone out there who thinks, well, isn't that cheating? What are Spider-Man's powers again? There was some sticky spray on Tobey Maguire's hand, but that makes the scene more realistic because Spider-Man's power is sticking to things. And I think the Jello and stuff like that were attached to their bowl so they wouldn't fall out of the bowl. And then there was also a sticky spray on the tray so when the stuff fell down it stayed flat. But even then, Tobey Maguire still caught it all as it fell down. And I've seen multiple theories bandied about like, oh, was it played in reverse? Because that's something they do sometimes. Like, no, it was done for real. They just dropped the things from the air and Tobey Maguire caught them all.
And I challenge anybody at home to even make a tray sticky and try and catch 4 things dropped at you and balance it as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, it's not like 4 things. I've got the thing like in front of me here. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things, including like a sandwich on a plate and stuff like that. And he does it, and that's the thing, they don't all fall down like in order. Down. He has to move his hand around to catch them. To get them all. And that was because they did it in a specific order and Tobey Maguire learned that order. And it reportedly took him over 150 takes to do. And I'm going to guess right now there's a few people watching this video who already knew this fact. And that's because this fact has been bandied about across the internet for about a decade now. There's probably people watching this right now who learned this fact from another website or channel. And I'm now going to issue a challenge for anyone out there this applies to go track down that article and try and find their original source. Because I'm going to bet that the original source for that is either another website or channel or something written for Cracked by a guy called Karl Smallwood. And the story behind this is that one of the first articles I ever wrote for Cracked.com was about movie scenes accomplished without the use of CGI. And about 10 years ago, I was watching Spider-Man on DVD with the director's commentary on, where the visual VFX director and Kirsten Dunst talk about how Tobey Maguire did this for real, in real life. And I thought, wow, that's awesome. I should go and write an article about this. But one of the things that Cracked asked you to do back in the day was provide a primary source they can link to. And whilst I knew that it was an accurate fact to say that Tobey Maguire did this thing for real without CGI, because I'd seen the director's commentary where the visual VFX director and Kirsten Dunst confirmed that, there was no evidence of that online that could be linked to. So what I did is I recorded my TV playing that part of the DVD with an old video camera I had lying around and uploaded that to YouTube.
This next gag here, where he catches all this stuff, he actually did that. Pretty good.
And that video is the first video I ever uploaded to my personal gaming channel, and it has about 500,000 views. And do you know where those 500,000 views came from, Lucas?
I'm presuming like the link from the Cracked video, the Cracked article.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But no, it's because something that used to happen a lot with Cracked articles is people would just copy-paste them and then change the words around but keep the links the same.
So you saying, Karl, that Fat Fiend Gaming's first subscribers were because of a clip of the Spider-Man DVD commentary?
Yes, and I'm going to make a bet for all those people out there who are like, well, I already knew this fact, Karl. You're not sharing anything new. I bet that's new information for them. And I invite you to go track down the original place you learned this fact and try and follow their sources. And I guarantee that they will either go back to another fact website they're regurgitating the fact from, which itself will probably lead you back to either that original clip on my channel or the Cracked article, or they will just mention that it's on the DVD commentary without providing a link to the clip. And that's because a couple of years ago, just to see what would happen, I made that video private and went and checked around on those websites and all the comments like your link doesn't work. Most of those websites just removed the link but didn't provide any additional source because there isn't an additional source. I'm the original source for it.
But Karl,
yes.
On top of the fact that, you brought this information to light.
Yes.
There's a twist to this of you saying that they didn't want to use it to the movie.
Yes, there is, because an additional fact, those websites that just copy-paste the original fact and the source verbatim leave out, is that Sony wanted to cut that scene.
Why would they cut a scene of, was A, so hard to shoot, and B, shows off Spider-Man's powers?
They didn't think it would be important to the movie, so they asked Sam Raimi to cut it. And Sam Raimi told Sony, yeah, sure, we'll cut the scene, and then went and filmed it anyway.
The studio had asked us to actually cut the tray part, but Sam and I really, really wanted it. So great, and so we said, we're going to do it anyway.
Oh.
Because he knew that the scene would be, one, dope, and two, as you mentioned, was important to establishing Spider-Man's power set.
Mm-hmm.
So he went and filmed the scene anyway, but he told Sony he'd need 2 days, and they only gave him like a day or so to get pickup shots.
Oh, okay.
So he just put all the time into getting that one shot, and it reported it took them 10 hours and over 150 takes to get right. But Tobey Maguire did do it.
10 hours of trying that.
Over and over and over again, and he nailed it.
He did, and I'm surprised that he doesn't look way more tired at the end of that day of just trying to catch things on a fucking tray.
I'm honestly surprised that he didn't ruin the shot by fist bumping and knocking everything off the tray. Is that picking up on your mic?
What picking up?
There's just a box in the corner of the room that started beeping like a bomb's gonna go off. I'm gonna have to go check that.
Don't die.
That's really scary. Oh, it stopped. Before I got over there, and it stopped itself, it just said intruder detected, but I'm the only one in the room.
It's self-aware, Karl.
So
Get out of there.
Fact Fiend office confirmed for haunted. It's just me, and there's just there's a beeping thing in the corner saying intruder detected, and I can see the entire room. Oh, that's so good. It's like, the thing is though, what a fucking boss Tobey Maguire Spider-Man is for pulling that shit off.
Oh, God, yeah.
It's no wonder that all the actors who've played Spider-Man are like 3 for 3 on dating their Mary Janes. So they say like Tobey Maguire briefly dated Kirsten Dunst, Andrew Garfield dated Emma Stone, and now Tom Holland's dating Zendaya.
I mean, like, to be fair, what Spider-Man? He's a badass that's really in shape. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. He's like the scene, isn't it, of like in the MCU of Tom Holland, and he's just super ripped.
Oh, God, he's
so ripped. And they just keep, and there's like, I want to say there's like 3 shots in that series where someone just walks in on him half naked and like, well, I'm really sorry about that. And then you have like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man where he's like, he wakes up and he's like, are you okay, Pete? He's like, yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm feeling the best I've ever felt because I just woke up with a 6-pack one day.
I want to say as well, that film is so good at establishing Spider-Man. Like, just that shot of him putting his glasses on. Like, that entire set of scenes is just so good at like laying up Spider-Man's powers of like the glasses, like when he notices that he's in shape, when he chases after the bus, and he's not out of breath after sprinting, like, you know, the speed of like a moving vehicle, and his hand sticks to the thing, and then he has like, you know, the spider sense moment, and then the fight with Flash.
And then, you know, he just has that moment where he's practicing with the webs and he's like, go web!
Then you can't figure it out. And he's like, Shazam! Which, if someone's going to mention, is like, yeah, it's a reference to Shazam, the comic book. Like, because when they made those Raimi-verse movies, they didn't give a fuck. Like, they name-dropped Superman in that movie.
They do it in Eternals, don't they, as well?
And they keep talking about Superman, yeah, and it's like, surely you're not allowed to get away. Like, surely someone at DC is going to get salty that the MCU's mentioned Spider-Man.
I mean, surely the people
Superman,
at DC are already salty enough.
They are. They're so salty. They hate it so much. I can only imagine that there's someone at DC who every single day is leaving negative comments on like trailers for MCU movies, and his name is like Z Snyder.
The real Z Snyder.
At real Z Snyder. It's like, you know, if Zack Snyder made Spider-Man, he'd have had the black suit from the first movie.
Oh, yeah, there would have been no red or blue at all.
And do you know that shot where he punches through Sandman's chest? That would have been the shot where, that would have been what he'd done to the Flash. And the song, like A Hole in the Head, would have played or something like that. Because to crib a line from Red Letter Media, Zack Snyder's movies work on many levels, mainly one.